This is Bob Barr with Liberty Guard, inviting you to watch this exciting episode of the best of Bob Barr's Laws of the Universe. And of course, as always, visit our website and our YouTube channel, and always stay tuned for the next excitement coming from Bob Barr's Laws of the Universe. One of the laws of the universe is that actually law number one that applies and has applied throughout human history is the world is full of idiots. It really is, whether one thinks back historically or in today's news, any day, there are people who personify that human characteristic that the world indeed is full of idiots. Now, oftentimes, we laugh at this stuff politically in particular. When we see the public relations or media person or press secretary for the president of the United States, Joe Biden, for example, trip over herself trying to explain the difference between a crisis at the border and a challenge at the border, and when that challenge becomes a crisis. I mean, it is kind of funny, even though it represents or reflects the unwillingness or inability of President Biden and his administration to really understand what's going on as illegal aliens, which you can't say in this administration, flood across our southern border. We also see and perhaps can take some humor in there was a senior legal analyst at CNN. Let me repeat that. A senior legal analyst at CNN. That's how CNN describes her, Laura Coates. And she's talking about the recent Derek Chauvin trial in Minneapolis, the former police officer who at the time was being tried for the death of George Floyd in 2020. And Laura Coates, the senior legal analyst for CNN, is discussing the case. And she says the defense begins the closing by defining reasonable doubt, not with why Derek Chauvin is innocent. Now, reasonable doubt is the benchmark for whether or not a person can be convicted of a criminal offense. The burden on the government is to prove each element of the crime beyond a reasonable doubt. That's something that one would think even people who are not senior legal analysts for a major network would understand. But apparently not Laura Coates. She thinks that Derek Chauvin, a defendant in a criminal case, has to prove his innocence. I mean, in a sense, that's funny. In a sense, it's rather sad that we have not just grown-ups, not just people on major news networks, but grown-ups who are on and paid by a major cable news network who are legal analysts, senior legal analysts to boot, apparently have no idea about what they are talking and no idea about our criminal justice system. The problem we face nowadays, though, is that many of these idiots who fill the world engage in activities that are not comical at all. They're not humorous in the least, yet they prove how idiotic people can be and are, including in the case of California Representative Maxine Waters, senior members of the Congress of the United States. Maxine Waters, she represents a district in one of the Los Angeles suburbs, and she has for many, many years, over 30 years, as a matter of fact. Recently, in what has become a pattern for her, she took to the streets and urged violence-prone demonstrators to be even more confrontational.
That we're going to get a verdict that is say guilty, guilty, guilty. And if we don't, we cannot go away. We've got to get more confrontational. We've got to make sure that they know that we mean business.
More confrontational against law enforcement, more confrontational against whatever it is that she and Black Lives Matter movements are upset about on a particular day. Most recently, it was the Derek Chauvin trial in Minneapolis. Ms. Waters proving her characteristic as one of the idiots of the universe, laws of the universe idiots, says, well, if we don't have a guilty, guilty, guilty verdict, one guilty is not enough. If we don't have a guilty, guilty, guilty verdict, then we need to take to the streets and be more confrontational. This is not funny. This is serious. This is a senior member of the U.S. House of Representatives urging violence in the streets. If the verdict in a particular case, working its way through our legal system, doesn't turn out the way she and those who actually follow her, I suppose who are the real idiots, don't like it. So as we look around us, as we read the news from day to day, and we see the idiotic things that people in government at all levels are saying, beginning with the Biden administration, keep in mind that this is serious. It may appear to be funny on the surface sometimes, but it is extremely serious when we have people in government, in high positions in government, who appear to have no earthly idea of what the facts are, what our justice system is, how our government is supposed to operate, and are simply out there to practice a brand of incitement that results, as it did last year in 2020, in these BLM and other demonstrations, resulting in some, I think, $2 billion worth of damage, almost 24 people killed. So this is very serious. So as we move through Bob Barr's Laws of the Universe, and in particular, as we continue to focus on law number 1, which is the world is full of idiots, keep in mind, and we'll, of course, remind everybody that this is serious business. So I appreciate your being with us today and look forward to being with you again in our next episode of Bob Barr's Laws of the Universe. You're not going out of your mind. You're slowly and systemically being driven out of your mind. This is gaslighting, and it is precisely what the left is doing to America. It's not a movie. It's real. It's happening right now, and it's dangerous. If the left is permitted to continue, it will irreparably undermine our history, our values, and our culture. Right now, the Biden administration and Democrat leaders in the Congress, aided, of course, by Hollywood and the mainstream media, are using every trick in the book to institutionalize their radical agenda to destroy America as we know it and replace it with a European-style socialist society. They are gaslighting America.
From the desk of former Congressman Bob Barr comes a special report titled Gaslighting America. In this book, Bob Barr tackles the left's war on truth, exposing the ways they are rewriting history, manipulating the news, and changing the very definition of words. Help protect the soul of our nation. Order today.